What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Today, I want to talk to you about a movie that I saw on YouTube. You've got those free with ads movies on YouTube. This is the Slammin' Salmon, which I believe came out in 2009. This is from Burnt Lizard Productions. I think that's what it's called. These are the people who did Beer Fest, I think, and they did Super Troopers. I have not seen either of those movies, but I think that's what they are most well known for. I saw a trailer for this movie around the time when it came out and thought it looked hilarious. But I never did get around to seeing the movie until now. And it is a really funny movie, I think, but I do think that the script could have been tightened up a little bit. So it's an hour and a half long, which kind of surprised me, but then again, I'm used to watching superhero and action film blockbusters that are 2.5 hours long, and so not all movies have to be that long. If it's a comedy, it definitely doesn't have to, because it will probably wear thin with your audience after a while. But only an hour and a half long, or a little more, and the premise is that Michael Clark Duncan plays a George Foreman type boxer who owns a restaurant, and he comes to the guy who's running the restaurant for him and says, I owe $20,000 to the Yakuza, so you need to make that money tonight, and then I can pay off the Yakuza guy that I owe money to. And so this guy, he starts off by saying, whoever gets the most money tonight to his waitstaff, you will get tickets to this concert. And then they're not making money fast enough, so he says, okay, whoever gets the most money is going to get 2 days in Key Largo at some high-end resort. And then they're still not making enough money, so George Foreman, that guy, Michael Clark Duncan's character, he says whoever gets the most money will get $10,000. And you can imagine that's not really going to work out since he owes $20,000. And so the movie is all of these waiters doing whatever dirty tricks they can to try and beat each other at this game. And I think my problem here is that we start with the guy who is the manager for most of the movie. We start with him as a waiter a year before the movie starts, and he is being mistreated by one of the customers at the restaurant, and then he's being mistreated by his manager, and then he falls down the stairs and breaks his legs, and then a year later we get the actual movie. And that's like 5 minutes of the movie, and we didn't need that. That doesn't really inform his character. All we know from that scene is that he's scared to go and tell Michael Clark Duncan's character that he wants to quit. He runs away from his office instead of going in and telling him that he is quitting, and then that's how he runs and falls down the stairs and breaks his leg. And then a year later, he's the manager. And then we find out how he became the manager much later in the movie. But we didn't need this scene that shows that he's scared, because throughout the entire movie, he's scared of standing up to his boss. And so we didn't need that scene where he's the waiter. That's 5 minutes of the movie that kind of slows us down a little bit. And I know this is only an hour and a half long, but it is almost 20 minutes into the movie when we get the premise that Michael Clark Duncan's character owes money to the Yakuza. That could have come a lot sooner. And I get that you have to set up your characters. There's quite a few characters here to set up, and I think the movie does a pretty good job of setting them all up. There are numerous jokes in this movie that have a really great payoff that I was not expecting, but I don't think it needed to be 20 minutes in. I think it's about 18 minutes when Michael Clark Duncan says, you need to get this money or I'm going to break your ribs, or something like that. And I really enjoyed it. I did not see who would actually win. I did not see that coming. You've got actors here that you will probably recognize if you've seen Super Troopers. At least two of these guys, I think, were in Super Troopers. You also have the lady. If you have seen the Doom Patrol series on DC streaming app, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't have this DC streaming app. The lady who plays Elastigirl in Doom Patrol, she's in this movie, and I didn't know that she was capable of doing serious and doing funny, because she's really funny here. The lady who played Robin Scherbatsky and Mariah Hill, she is in this. She's also kind of your straight man. I guess she's the closest thing to a straight man that this movie has. But there are multiple things here where I'm like, okay, that's just a funny thing that the movie is doing, and then it leads to something else. Like there's a couple of, I guess you could call them Rube Goldberg type instances where a whole bunch of little subplots all kind of dovetail together so that something really crazy can happen. And I thought that worked really well. One of them, for example, there's one guy who he is complaining. He tells one of the waiters, bring me another drink and let's actually put some booze in it this time. And so he goes and he tells the bartender, really put a lot of booze in there, because he's complaining about that. So he is just like loading this beverage with like a whole lot more alcohol than the guy's expecting. And then this other character, who already had soup burned on her face earlier in the movie, really hot soup that was blown on her face, she is carrying a birthday cake with candles on it, and then the guy takes a drink and he spits it out, and then her face catches on fire again. That was not as complicated as earlier when she got the soup blown on her face. That one had like 3 or 4 moving parts that all kind of work together, but I like how these things happen and I don't see them coming. I thought that was really well done. You got some really funny moments here, and it's hard for me to review a comedy and just say it's funny, but really my only complaint here is how long it takes to get to the core of the movie, because when you watch the trailer, you pick up on the premise pretty quickly, other than like it's a crazy restaurant where all these people are like fighting each other in the kitchen area at one point. Like, you see that in the trailer, and it's like, what's going on here? But you kind of get the idea of the premise in the trailer, and then it's 20 minutes in before you actually get it in the movie. But I liked it. I think you guys should watch it, definitely. If you have YouTube, and since you're watching this video, you do, go ahead and watch it on YouTube for free. I hope it's still up by the time this video goes up. I don't know when this video will go up, but I enjoyed the movie. It was very entertaining, and for the most part, well written. I liked a lot of the jokes and how they worked with each other. There was just a little bit of slow build-up to a lot of the good stuff in this movie. But I enjoyed this movie. It makes me interested in checking out some of the other stuff from Burnt Lizard. I don't know if I ever will, but it makes me a little more interested, especially since those other movies are more well-known than this one. I don't feel like a whole lot of people really know about the Slammin' Salmon. But anyway, that is all that I have to say about this movie. Hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back later in the week with more videos. In the meantime, have a good one.